If you're struggling to use Icegolems in a very efficient way to get maximum value out of them and to protect your troops or heroes when going in towards the base and having a good entry, this video is for you. Now, I already teased last video at the end that I'm going to showcase a few more attacks from General Bob. And what he's doing here is he plays his Ice Golem with the king and the queen early on, which is fine. But he has deployed it in such a way, like the combination of king, queen, and king, queen, and the Ice Golem, that the king is just getting targeted by the Motor Gear, and he loses very early on a lot of HP already. Like, he's already at half HP, like half of his hit points, and he wants to use his king ability because he has this spiky ball and the earthquake boots on him, ideally in this section here, so that he opens up the walls towards the core, so that the queen can reach ideally the town hall. Now, because he played his Ice Golems in such a poorly way, combined with the heroes, and hasn't even funded the king is just walking on the outside, he's popping his ability, and he didn't get the value he wanted out of them. Now, if you look at the base after the opener, you will see Fireball on the right, Flameflinger on the left. So he has only this top compartment for his heroes to go in towards. Great funnel, obviously. But he has some expos, the lava launcher shooting, obviously, the motor gear, and the super wizard towers. At this point, you always have to ask yourself, no matter what strategy you're playing, if you're using Ice Golems, obviously, where do you want your Ice Golems to go and pop as well, like to die, that they freeze the most amount of defenses they possibly can. And in this scenario, it's easy for him, because it's like, yeah, not really like thought out, to just place the Ice Golem like here with the king and the queen. But the problem is, the Ice Golem could get focused. That would be ideal by, I don't know if the Motor Gear has range on it, but at least by the one Expo and the Lava Launcher. But even if that happens, if the Ice Golem just pops here at the bomb tower, he will not freeze anything. So it's basically a wasted Ice Golem, because, yeah, the Lava Launcher is doing splash damage, and the Expo, like, the only way he gets value out of the Ice Golem is by getting a little bit of tanking from the Expo, but that's not too much. So what he should have done instead is, especially because the Motor Gear is a big threat to heroes, if you don't deal with it properly and he just shoots for multiple seconds, if he just deploys his Ice Golem from the top, no matter if there is a Tesla, like here there is, the Ice Golem will always freeze this one Motor Gear, which is great. And he will tank the both Expos and as well the Lava Launcher. And if he just plays same King and Queen, like Ice Golem here, King and Queen here, he even gets a little bit of tanking from the Lava Launcher, because the Lava Launcher shoots like every 7 seconds. He's very slow with shooting stuff. He gets a good freeze. And he has a good way then of, if he deploys his second Ice Golem, basically after the first one popped, from roughly this angle, he gets a good freeze, most likely on both of these Expos, and this is just way more value. So yellow is the first Ice Golem, red then the heroes, and the second Ice Golem should be the black arrow. Now, to make the Sui even a little bit easier into towards the Lava Launcher, you can always deploy on the outside, roughly here, for example, outside of the range of the most amount of defenses, so that the totem survives the longest. Just a totem, and the Lava Launcher will just shoot at the totem, and you're fine. And you're even having then less damage on your heroes. And again, just talking again about the Ice Golems and how you should plan them, try to think about what defenses you want to freeze and from which angle you have to play those Ice Golems to get there. This shift in mindset should give you a way better opportunity to use those Ice Golems very efficiently. The second attack I want to show you is on this box-style heavy rage setup base. He's playing a Fireball Farsight to get the Lava Launcher, Revenge, and CC out of the way, obviously some heroes as well. Triggering the rage with a good Flame Flinger there. He has good seen that very well. And then he starts his King and Queen from the right side at 3 o'clock. And I'm not too sure why. I don't know the reason for it. But in my opinion, this is the worst angle he could have picked. But let me show you why. Because, as you can see, he has the long shot on the town hall. And the long shot is already active on the king and shooting and shooting and shooting. The first Ice Golem popped and only freezed an archer tower and the expo. The ricochet cannon is just shooting at the king with the long shot together. The king is walking on the outside. If you fast forward it a bit, he has to use his king early. Doesn't get the walls open towards the town hall. Very crucial for the defender, and not well for the attacker. And the queen is somehow dealing with the ability with the long shot, and then he deploys his ice golem randomly, like the second one afterwards, which obviously gets a good freeze, don't get me wrong, but he could have done that way more efficient. Alright, so I jumped back a little bit into the replay, and as you can see, he uses a rage to get the monolith out of the way, which the Warden just did. The rage is still active, and I would have just waited for the Warden to take out all of those 3 buildings, and then I have a clean pathing from this section here at the bottom, like where the bomb tower roughly is, in towards the town hall. He dodges the fire spitter, that's very important. He can just use some rocket runes on the wizard tower to get the both of these buildings out, then a wizard or something. Does he have a wizard? No, but he has furnaces or archers or minions to get those buildings out of the way. Like, he just needs to get those 2 basically. And then he has a good ice golem on the bomb tower from like the elixir collector. So basically from this angle, it should freeze all of those buildings, all of those 4 defenses. And then he can deploy the second ice golem way better after the warbreak on the ricochet cannon, freezing basically all of the air defense is not really necessary because he's playing ground, but all of those buildings. And then he can delay his king ability when the king is roughly at this section, opening up all the wards for the queen. If he's lucky, he get the spiky ball in towards the rage section, and he has a way easier Sui. Now the problem what he has from playing the Sui from 3 o'clock is he has to funnel, obviously, with the baby ring. He did this, like to funnel out at least those 2 buildings, I believe. But the king, how the king went is basically like this, and then going on the outside. And you want to have, with your spiky ball and earthquake boots on the king very precisely at the spot where you want him to have to pop his ability to open up the walls. And it is just very risky to go from here because there are still the buildings on the bottom, which he didn't even take out with the warden because he just recalled him. I guess he was scared about time failing. But let me tell you this, a funnel is always way more important than time. And even if you take 10 to 15 seconds to just nail the funnel down, to play a little bit of a better angle or entry, it is most of the time worth it. Anyways, his king just went nuts on the outside. Obviously, connected buildings make it very likely that the king walks on the outside, like here. And then, yeah, the biggest problem as well was he got so much damage early on the king from the long shot, and he just avoids that if he goes in with his heroes from the bottom side, because when they're in this compartment, they are basically directly going towards the rage, which is what you want, and they are the least amount of time in the long shot taking damage, and that's very important for the attack to succeed. Now, in the end, it was just a time fail, but he could have done it way better to using his ice golems, and obviously he swagged the second ice golem. So yeah. Now, if you watched my last video, you will notice this base. And again, this is the last replay I want to emphasize the ice golems on. He played his flame flinger. I already told in the last video, just play the lock launcher with the king switching basically siege and king. Anyways, he has 2 ice golems and he plays his first ice golem on this wizard tower. And the only thing what that does is basically distracting the logger, not more. And the second ice golem just gets put inside before the wall were connected. So it just targets, I don't know, the sweeper or something. So this is just, he deployed his ice golems because he had them, but not because he wanted to freeze certain buildings. Like, if he wants to freeze them, the revenge, he needs to wait for the wall breaker to open up the compartment so that the ice golem will target the invis. Obviously, if the invis targets or like pops, the ice golem has to retarget. But that's just, don't just play your ice golems because you have them. Always think about where you want to freeze specific buildings, which are very annoying to you, and find entries where you can really maximize the value of your ice golems. That's everything from my side. Best of success in your attacks.